From time to time, topics pop up that we have plans for a full redirect episode, but that our audience also deserves a quicker heads up, so to speak. With that in mind, we're introducing a Cliff's Notes version of these topics to be followed by a redirect episode. We're calling these BTW with BlackTruck Media and Marketing, as in, oh, by the way. We promise to be a brief pit stop in your day, just about 10 minutes, and then we'll be gone so that you can move forward with quick takes and confidence in the digital space. We'll be back later to deliver all the details you crave from our team.
Welcome to BTW with BTM. I'm Jason Dodge, founder and CEO of BlackTruck Media and Marketing. On this episode, we're going to dive into Facebook being down. But instead of getting into the nuances of why it went down, let's focus on what happened and what it really means for those of us in the digital marketing space. So kind of as of recording this week, October 4th, 2021, let's be specific about that, Facebook and a majority of its services experienced a massive outage, which kind of once everything concluded is probably around 6 to 7 hours of services that were completely down for Facebook, probably one of the worst outages that they've experienced since 2008. What's important to understand is this didn't impact just Facebook.com and that app. It also included a lot of their main properties. So Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp Messenger, and even the Oculus virtual reality systems. So this has widespread impact, not strictly just looking at it from a digital marketer's perspective and an advertising perspective and ad dollars lost perspective, but it has a lot to do with the companies that utilize Facebook as their backbone for their messaging system, as well as emerging countries and things of that nature that rely heavily on tools such as the WhatsApp Messenger for first-party live, person-to-person messaging. So that's something to consider here when we rely on big tech like this that's connected in our day-to-day lives. So what ended up happening, again, I'm not going to get into the big details of that. We'll let the tech media outlets go deep dive on that. But ultimately, probably what ended up happening is it was a result of Facebook updating its border gateway protocol, BGP. And again, I'm not going to geek out on that. That's something that I think you can go and Google. But essentially, those are how more or less the internet is mapped and route traffic to groups of addresses. Interestingly enough, we know and have reported on it and have produced content on it over the last few years that Facebook itself has not been the powerhouse that it used to be in terms of top reporting traffic to sites. Somewhere in the neighborhood of around 2016 or 2017, we started to see Facebook really drop, or social in general drop, as the major referral source for inbound traffic for major brands and websites. That doesn't mean that it's not a significant source of traffic, significant source of ad revenue, so ad revenue being spent, so ad and media being purchased, as well as revenue generated to many small, mid-size, and large cap businesses. So what this really is a timely reminder to make sure you don't have your eggs in one basket as a company, as a brand, and certainly as a digital marketer when you're working with others. Because who wins and loses in this type of case when you have a major platform such as Facebook go down is unfortunately this is a case of nobody wins and everybody loses, from a small business mom and pop shop to large major P&G brands, all the way up to clearly shareholders and those who have invested in these tech platforms as well. But back in 2019, Facebook experienced a pretty major outage and snafu, and it was estimated somewhere that costs the platform somewhere in the neighborhood of $90 million a day in ad revenue. So if we were to fast forward that into today's dollars and the ad revenue that's probably being spent on Facebook, it's a substantial chunk of money that they obviously lose. But then taking it back even more is the economic disruption that you're going to have and the effects that it has on things such as Facebook being down, WhatsApp being down, etc. With WhatsApp being down, there's a lot of the rest of the world that's going to function on this as a telecommunications utility. It's somewhere in the neighborhood of over 2 billion monthly active users who rely on that type of service for their telecommunications infrastructure. So much beyond what we're concerned about at the digital marketing perspective, we have to take ourselves out of that equation for a minute and think about what this means for individuals who are just strictly trying to use it for day-to-day communications. So again, who wins and who loses? Nobody wins in this case. Facebook doesn't win. You as a business or as a brand or as a marketer, nobody loses in this. The only thing we can do is pick the pieces up and try and move along. So how do we look past this, and what are some things that you can do to help protect yourself? And by protect yourself, what I'm trying to get at is say, how do you diversify yourself either personally or professionally? So personally, if you're using Facebook in what is known as OAuth or open authorization, that's a really, really popular way to access other businesses and other services and other applications, where you'll use either your Facebook login, you'll use your Google login, you might use your LinkedIn login, Twitter login, etc. So what you're doing is you're authorizing these other applications to go ahead and access these service providers. So in the case of, say, the New York Times, your subscription and your access to that subscription might be heavily tied to your OAuth login for Facebook. So when Facebook goes down, you actually, as a user and a subscriber of the New York Times, cannot access your content. So Facebook going down can also be a huge blow to somebody like the New York Times or other SaaS-based products out there in the world. So one thing you could do as a user is absolutely maybe perhaps consider not using OAuth. I know it's a lot easier for you because it's kind of a one-click login to the application, but you can actually consider using a direct login the next time that you go to use somebody's services or sign up for services. On the business side of it, that's a really, really critical component here. Again, while OAuth is extremely what we'll call frictionless, it makes it easy for people to sign up because they see the button and say, "Oh yeah, I'll just log in through Facebook." What you might do is definitely offer up the opportunity a little bit more prominently to create a username. Use your email. So create username, create a password, use your email. Because ultimately you're going to capture them as a customer. You're then going to be able to email them. You're going to be able to do follow-ups and things of that nature, no matter if Facebook service or whoever the social platform is impacted in the future. Now, from an ads perspective, so switching gears completely 180 degrees out from business operations and talking about advertising itself, what are you doing to diversify your digital advertising? And that's something that we talk about what feels like a lot here at BlackTruck is we approach digital advertising from an integrated perspective, and not integrated from a communications side of it, but integrated from let's look at your media dollars in the digital space and where are we being the most effective and how are we going to tune those up and tune those down, obviously based on performance. So instead of putting all your eggs in one basket and saying, yeah, Facebook is where we see our most revenue generated, so we go heavy up there and have 90% of our budget there. When you have certain outages like this and you're down almost an entire day, yeah, you saved the ad money that you weren't spending, but clearly you also miss out on those revenue opportunities to generate revenue that impact your bottom line. So spending heavily on one platform over another might not be as wise as you once thought. So if you're focused specifically on return on ad spend or ROAS in social, clearly that's going to mess up reporting and things like that when it's down an entire day. So, we often say that customer journey is non-linear anymore, and it's really important. And this is a huge reminder for marketers to keep that in check, that no longer is it I put $1 in and I got $5 out directly from a platform. Attribution is kind of sticky in that it's more like I put 50 cents in over here on Facebook. I put 25 cents in over here on targeted display through the Google Display Network. And I put, another 50 or 75 cents in over here in paid search. And I got $5 back, right? We know that we have to have multiple touch points for a customer anyways. So making sure that your ad dollars are very diverse in that nature will help you and potentially safeguard you in the future. And also staying on top of and being attentive to these types of things so that when issues like this arise, you have a plan and a backup plan to course correct. So again, as a quick recap, on October 4th, Facebook went down, which impacted, it was a widespread, massive outage that impacted Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, as well as Oculus. And really, at the end of the day, who wins and who loses? The answer is nobody wins and we all lose. But if we diversify the way in which we're communicating to individuals, we place a little bit more emphasis on that first party data, collecting emails, encouraging direct signups and things like that. That's going to help you as a brand and potentially safeguard you for future outages or mishaps. That concludes this episode of BTW with BTM. You can catch additional episodes on our website at blacktruckmedia.com/podcast. And until next time, good luck.